Welcome to The Running Man.
Survive the world's deadliest game show?
Walk away with $1 billion.
That's actually not true.
No one has ever survived.
All right, everybody, welcome back. I'm going to say this once and only once because it's the only time you have to hear it. This is Cinema Daily US. I'm Matthew Shuckman. Thank you for joining us because we're going to be talking about Edgar Wright's version of The Running Man. That's right, his version, because this is not a remake. This is basically his retelling of the story that was written by Stephen King under the pseudonym Richard Bachman back in the 80s here in 2025. So let's do it!
We know a way to beat it. We have to work together.
The biggest underdog win in game show history.
We all may love that old 80s Arnold Schwarzenegger version of The Running Man. It technically wasn't really The Running Man. And while we all have a soft spot in our heart for it, this is the story that was kind of meant to be told in the book. And so let's go through the positives and the negatives, because there are a fair amount of both, I think, this time around. Look, I love Edgar Wright just like anybody loves Edgar Wright. And so we're going to start with the positives. Look, he doesn't lose that Edgar Wright style in any way whatsoever. Granted, it's not here as much as it may be in some of his other films, but it's still an Edgar Wright film, and especially with Michael Bacall, who we also helped co-write Scott Pilgrim with. Yeah, obviously a lot of those feelings are still there, and there's some great action set pieces. It does run a little long, so you have to wait for some of those action set pieces to get there, but they work really well. And while Glen Powell is really good in the role, something about him I think still doesn't fit totally, but he does nail it down ultimately. It takes a little bit longer for him to get into it for me than maybe I thought may be there, but he really gets into it. It's a nice little starring role for Glenn in this, so it's nice to see Edgar working with some other people he hasn't worked with before, and there's a lot of people in this that Edgar hasn't worked with before, so it's nice to see him kind of spread his wings a little bit with his cast. And look, you know, the story, I'd actually never read the original book, but I know a lot about it. And clearly the story is a lot more in tune from what was trying to be told in that Stephen King novel. I do think that maybe they pull their punches a little bit when it comes to certain things, especially near the end of the film, compared to what the book's doing. But it is a really faithful retelling in a lot of ways, while also sprinkling in a little bit of that classic 80s Schwarzenegger version of Running Man that we all kind of are familiar with, even though, again, they're very different stories. Because, you know, the game itself in this version, which is again the book version, is a lot different than that of the 80s version. Prisoners, arena they battle and all that stuff. That's not part of the original the story. This is that wide open world that we expected from The Running Man. Like if you read the book and then you saw that movie, you didn't know what was going on. This is what you were getting. So he does a good job in that. So let's talk about the negative.
Okay, you ready?
It's gonna work. I can't just let you win this game.
I need weapons and a disguise.
Holy sh**.
I like that the film, you know, runs a little long. I like the fact that it's a little over 2 hours. But in the same breath, I feel that there's some of it that could have been cut out. It felt like it stretched out too much. And the third act, especially after a certain point, the ending specifically really started to fall apart. And again, doesn't stick so much into that really biting commentary. Even though it's there, it feels like it backs away from it a little bit. And it's kind of like, oh, well, we've gotten this far and we've done it for this long. How are we going to keep it going? And they just kind of had to wrap it up. So it felt like it was kind of thrown together at the end there, almost as if there's going to be a director's cut for the next 30 minutes there at the end of the film. I don't know. But it did fall apart a little bit. While it is entertaining, it's a different type of entertaining than, again, the original film. I'm not trying to compare the two, but if you want to make me sit down and just go like, ha ha, and laugh like a child for a little bit, I'd take the original. I don't want to say the original adaptation, we'll say, over Edgar Wright's version. And again, much as I love Edgar Wright, you know, I haven't sat down and gone through, now that I've seen The Running Man, go through like, oh, I'm going to rank all of Edgar Wright's films, but in doing so, I'd probably actually put The Running Man at the bottom of the list as of right now. That would be the one that starts it off, say like, this is my least favorite Edgar Wright film as of now. It doesn't mean it's a bad film, doesn't mean I dislike the film, but as far as Edgar Wright goes, it's probably, you know, not his best, surprisingly. Again, while his voice is there, while his vision is there, everything you expect of Edgar Wright's there still seems to be something missing. There's still something that needs to, because there's still a part of me that wants him to kind of, you know, there's one scene, and I don't want to talk about it specifically because I don't want to give it away for people who haven't seen it, but there's one scene dealing with michaelcera, and I'll say that to make it make sense, that is very much old school, very good Edgar Wright comedy, but it feels out of place in the Running Man that he built up to it. There's something about his style of storytelling and comedy in that section that didn't seem to mesh with the more straightforward tone of Edgar Wright's Running Man, you know? So I felt that was a little bit of a disappointment, but with that being said, again, not bad, just felt awkward. At the end of the day, I don't feel like it meshed. I don't think it tied itself together well enough to really give it a great grade. I would say at the end of the day, my letter grade for Edgar Wright's The Running Man, B-, almost slip into a C+. Till next time, get that camera out of the way!
Hunt him down! Stop filming me!
Have you ever wondered if this game is rigged?
Guess we'll find out.
You might be moving up too fast. Hey, buddy. You're on Freebie. Yeah! You better run!
I got a grenade!
Back at you.
I'm still here, you shit eaters.
Hey, big boys!
Are you crazy?